Hi, everybody. This is Miss Sara from the Upper Chichester Library in Upper Chichester, Pennsylvania, and welcome to Books and Babies. We're going to read 3 great books together today. The first one is called The Big Umbrella by Amy June Bates, co-written with Juniper Bates, her daughter. And this one we're reading with permission of Simon and Schuster. We've had some rainy days lately. Let's see what the big umbrella does about that. By the front door, there is an umbrella. It is big. It is a big, friendly umbrella. It likes to help. And look at the things it can help with. What's this? That's the sun. It can keep the sun off somebody. These are falling leaves. And of course, rain. It likes to spread its arms wide. It loves to give shelter. So that means making them safe under there, somewhere to go out of the rain. It loves to gather people in. How many people are under there now? 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't matter if you are tall or hairy. Now they're all under there, see? Or plaid. That's what that pattern is called, plaid. It doesn't matter how many legs you have. How many legs does a dog have? Did you say 4? You're right. Some people worry that there won't be enough room under the big umbrella. There are a lot more people under there now, aren't there? It's gotten much bigger. But the amazing thing is, there is. It just keeps stretching. There's the sun breaking out and the rain is going to go away. The umbrella is happy with the job it's doing. There is always room. I'm going to zoom in so you can see some of the activities the people in town are doing as they stay dry under the umbrella. You see an octopus? Or some ice cream? There's lots of stuff going on under the umbrella. The end, the sun comes back out. That was the big umbrella. All right. This next book is about 2 different kinds of bears that become friends. This is Panda Bear and Polar Bear by Matthew J. Bake. We're reading this with the permission of Penguin Random House. In a place where spring met winter, there lived 2 kinds of bears. Where it was green and grassy, lived the panda bears. And where it was white and wintry, lived the polar bears. You see how different they look? Yeah. But in between loomed a tall, steep, and slippery cliff. It was too tall for the panda bear to climb up and too tall for a polar bear to climb down, and so they never met. Until one curious polar bear became too curious. What was beyond his white, wintry world? He walked closer to the edge of the cliff, and closer still. Perhaps a little too close. Oh no, he slipped. Luckily, the polar bear landed in a patch of stick, squishy mud. It was sticky and brown and yuck. Stomp, stomp, stomp. Something was coming. The polar bear ran, but the cliff was too tall, too steep, and too slippery to climb up. Stomp, stomp, stomp. The polar bear covered his eyes. He peeked from behind his muddy paws. Did you see what he did to his face? And saw a strange, splotchy bear staring at him. "Are you new?" asked the strange, splotchy bear. "Do you want to play?" Said the polar bear. The splotchy bear took this as a yes. In no time, they were climbing trees, playing hide and seek, and following the leader. Finally, they sat down for a snack. Yuck, thought the polar bear. This bamboo is too hard. He has a better idea. "Let's fish," he said to his new splotchy friend. The polar bear looked into the water and gasped. Could it be he wasn't plain white anymore? He had turned into a splotchy bear. Splash! He swam out, snatched a fish, and proudly presented his catch. Oh, but look what happened to the polar bear. You see something different about him? "You're fading," the splotchy bear said. "Where are your panda patches?" "Panda patches?" the polar bear replied. "Aren't you a panda bear?" asked the splotchy bear. "No," he said quietly. "I'm a polar bear. I'm all white, just like the snow." He sighed. What terrifically splotchy panda bear would want to be friends with a plain white polar bear? But the panda's face brightened. "I've never seen snow," he said. "What's it like?" So the polar bear explained all about snow. But the more he talked, the more he remembered. And the more he remembered, the more he missed. Suddenly, the polar bear was homesick. "I'll help you get home," said the panda bear. "But the cliff," the polar bear replied. "I'll think of something," said the panda. So he thought and thought and thought until he couldn't think any more. "Maybe we could use bamboo," suggested the polar bear. "My mother told me never to play with food, but I think it's okay this time," said the panda bear. Together they made a very long ladder. Look at that. They tied all those pieces of bamboo together and made a ladder. It was a very, very long ladder. When it was finished, the time had come for the polar bear to go home. He looked at the panda bear. Would they still be friends after he left? The polar bear wanted to ask, but he wasn't sure how. Instead, he turned and slowly climbed the ladder. And climbed and climbed. And the higher he went, the harder the wind blew. The ladder began to shake. And then it was suddenly still. The polar bear looked down. There was the panda bear holding on to the ladder with all his might. Don't worry, the panda called. I've got you. In fact, look what's happening. They had each other and a lot more to discover. And you can see now they're at the zoo. As you can see, someone selling balloons, and it's just that their habitats at the zoo are close together. We've got some penguins, and we've got some giraffes. And there's a lion back here. So that's how the panda bears and polar bears lived close together. That's the end. Those two different kinds of bears made friends. And we have one more story for today. This one is called Brave Little Monster. And this is about a monster who's afraid of little kids hiding under his bed and in his closet. This is by Ken Baker and illustrated by Jeffrey Hayes. And we're reading this one with the permission of HarperCollins. And this monster's name is Albert. Albert couldn't sleep. Goosebumps covered his hairy arms. His fangs chattered. He shivered with fright. Even though Albert's mom had told him there were no such things as little girls and boys, he knew better. Albert knew that scary boys and girls loved to hide in little monsters' rooms at night. Albert saw something move in his closet. It looked like a scary little girl eating an ice cream cone. She was probably dripping ice cream all over Albert's clothes. Albert knew that's what little girls do. They think it's funny to drip ice cream all over your clothes. It makes them laugh so hard that their bellies hurt. And when they're done laughing, they eat you up. Little girls love to eat little monsters after they've had a good belly bursting laugh. Mom, Albert yelled. Help me. There's a little girl in my closet. She's spilling ice cream on my clothes and wants to eat me up. Go to sleep, Albert, his mom shouted from downstairs. There's no such thing as little girls. Albert sighed. He would have to get rid of the little girl himself. He picked up one of his smelly socks off the floor and threw it at the closet. Phew! Get out of my closet, you good-for-nothing, scary little girl, or I'll throw an even smellier sock at you, yelled Albert. There was no answer. Albert thought he must have scared her away. Little girls can't stand the smell of monster socks. Albert just hoped she hadn't spilled too much ice cream on his clothes. Do you think there was something in his closet? Finally, Albert felt safe, except now he had to go to the bathroom. He had to go monstrously bad, but he didn't dare get out of bed. He was sure there was a mean little boy under his bed coloring in a coloring book. Albert could hear the crayons squeaking. Albert knew that little boys love to hide under monsters' beds and color. Most of the time they leave you alone and color all night. But if you try to get out of bed, they grab your feet and play piggy on each one of your hairy little monster toes until you can't stand it, and then they eat you up. Mom, Albert yelled, there's a little boy coloring under my bed who wants to play piggy on my hairy little toes. Albert's mom poked her head in his room. Albert, she said firmly, it's getting late. For the last time, there are no such things as little boys and girls. Now close your eyes and go to sleep. Albert was on his own. He knew there was only one way to deal with little boys that hide under your bed. He closed his eyes and put his head under the bed. He stuck out his slobbery, hairy tongue and went. He counted to 5. When Albert opened his eyes, the little boy was gone. But Albert thought he saw a coloring book under his bed. Albert hopped out of bed and ran all the way to the bathroom. When he came back, he flipped his bedroom light on and off to see if the little boy and girl had come back. There was no sign of them. Albert jumped into bed. He hoped they weren't still hiding somewhere in his room. Albert had just closed his eyes when he thought he heard a quiet laugh coming from his window. Through the curtains, he saw the little girl and boy dancing and doing somersaults. Albert recognized the dance that the little boy and girl were doing. It was the hungry dance. Albert knew they would laugh and giggle all night long doing the hungry dance. When they were good and hungry, they would eat Albert up. Albert had to get rid of the little girl and boy once and for all. His heart pounded as he climbed out of bed. He trembled as he walked toward the curtains where the children twirled and jumped. With his nose almost touching the curtains, Albert shouted as loud as he could, "Little boy and girl, stop doing the hungry dance and go home. You're not going to eat this little monster for dinner." This brave little monster. Then Albert took a deep breath and threw open the curtains. There was no little boy or girl. He could only see the big tree waving in the wind. He smiled. The little girl and boy were finally gone. Albert skipped across the room and leapt back into bed. He knew there were no more scary little boys and girls in his room. He had chased them away all by himself. Albert had almost fallen asleep when he felt his mom's hairy lips give him a soft, slobbery kiss on his cheek. "Good night, my brave little monster," she whispered. "Sleep tight." The end. Do you think there was anyone in Albert's room, or was it his imagination? Do you think there's ever somebody in your room and you find out it's just your own imagination running away with you too? It happens to all of us. That was our last story for Books and Babies today. I hope you enjoyed our books and come back next time to read with us. Bye for now.